Okay, so somebody wrote in with a problem they're having, and they asked me not to mention all the details of it, so I'll just give a cursory thing. So this person was working on a film about a very famous person, and was the director and teamed up with a producer and made this film and felt very, very good about the work that he was doing. And then just before the film was going to air on TV, he found out that the producer had replaced him as the director, made somebody else the director, and put him as the co-director. And so on the list of credits, his name is very far down the list. Okay? So, you know, that presents one difficulty, because now when people praise the film, he has mixed feelings. You know, he doesn't feel like, he feels like they're praising the other director by praising the film. You know, whereas he's the one who actually did it, so he should feel that he's receiving the praise himself, but he's not. And so, whereas he really wanted the film to succeed before, now that this other guy getting the credit, he's not so sure that he wants it to be quite so well received. Okay? And then there's another problem on top of this, which is that there is the possibility that the producer and director of this film may be able to meet with a very famous person who is visiting the country. But now that he's not the director anymore, this other person will get to do it, and he won't. Okay, and he really wanted to have the opportunity to meet this very famous person. It didn't sound like it was a for sure deal that it would happen, but he wanted that opportunity, and he said in part so that his mother and his kids would be proud of him. Okay, so anybody else ever had that experience of working very hard on a project and somebody else getting the credit? You're all raising your hands. Yes, it happens quite a bit, amazingly, isn't it? You know, the unfairness of it all, that we, you know, flat out work, and then at the end we're relegated to a lower position and don't get the credit that we feel we deserve, okay? And we can't even complain to God because there isn't one, you know, and say it's unfair, yeah. So, you know, if we're going to look at, well, how do we deal with this? Well, one technique, of course, is to see that probably we did something like this to somebody else in the past, which is we snuck up from behind, took the credit on a big project, and left the other person, you know, standing in the sidelines. And so if we really, you know, see that, you know, great possibility I've done that, then this is only, you know, the natural result of, you know, we get back what we've given out. Okay. Now, we may say, but I haven't done that in this life. Well, perhaps it was in a previous life when we did it. But check again in this life. Yeah? I mean, how many times in grade school did we work together with other kids on a team, or play sports on a team, or do something with a group, and then we wiggled our way in to be the star and get the credit and the praise? Yeah, so it may have happened this lifetime too. And sometimes not just when we're kids, you know, sometimes in some other situation too. Okay. Then another antidote, I think, is the verse from the 8 verses of thought training. In all situations, I will regard myself as the lowest of all, and from the very depth of my heart, hold others as supreme. You know, that verse that we think others should practice towards us. But, you know, other people should definitely see themselves as the lowest of all and see us as supreme. But, you know, somehow there was a typo in it, and we're being requested to see ourselves as the lowest of all and them as supreme. And then your teacher confirms, no, it wasn't a typo. This is actually how we're supposed to practice. You know, which of course is the last thing we want to do, because for us, our worldly reputation is like so important. You know, we are our reputation. What other people think of me, that is who I am. Yeah, but that is so flawed because everybody has so many different opinions about us. Yeah, and one person likes and another person doesn't like, and somebody else is in between. And in any case, even if the whole world loves us, what good does it do us? Does it prevent us from getting old and sick and dying? No. We're going to die anyway, whether we're famous or not famous. You know, does it get us any closer to enlightenment? Yeah? Do you think being famous means that somehow you're closer to enlightenment? No. Okay. So if we look at what's really important to us, you know, what good does a reputation do? It doesn't do anything. Yeah? So, and all it is thoughts in other people's heads. You know, so who cares, really? Because they're going to change their mind tomorrow anyway. Yeah. And then what I thought was very interesting in this particular case is that the film was about somebody who was a slave who became free. And there's an analogy here to the problem this person is having, you know, because being a slave doesn't just mean that you're enslaved by a social system or enslaved because you're owned by a slaveholder. You know, our chief enslavement is from our own ignorance, anger, and attachment. So if we're making a film about somebody who was a slave who became free, let's try ourselves to see how our own ignorance, anger, and attachment, and in this case particularly attachment to reputation, makes us into a slave, not because of anything outside, but because of the way our mind is thinking. And if we admire the person who the film is about for becoming free and for doing the things he did after he became free, then we should try and become free of our attachment and do things that benefit others after we are free from our attachment. Yeah? So there's a very strong analogy here. Yeah? That I think it's very important to look at. In any case, whatever action we do, whether we get credit for it or not, let's practice taking delight in the doing of the action. Yeah? So you've heard me talk about generosity a lot, and that when we're generous, not to expect anything back from the person, but just to take delight in giving. And so here, with making a film, it's sad if you put in so much energy and then lose your delight just because where some letters are in relationship to other letters at the end or beginning of a film. That the letters forming your name are lower than the letters forming somebody else's name. You know, these squiggles and those squiggles should be reversed. Yeah? Why lose one's joy about making a film and contributing to something, to people knowing something good, especially rejoicing about somebody who was enslaved, who became free, and who did very wonderful things. Why lose one's joy about that? You know? Let's take joy in the action we did. Yeah? Whether somebody recognizes it or not. Because anyway, in a few years, none of us are going to be here. Nobody's going to know our name anyway. They may not even have the documentary film at the end. Yeah? So what is there to hold on to? And why, spend so much time stuck in misery now when we could be experiencing happiness and doing something that's really beneficial in our practice and benefiting others. Okay? So good to, give, see oneself as the lowest of all, which just in this case, it doesn't mean thinking that you're worthless. It just means my name's lower than the others, But rejoice in, oh, this other person may get to meet this very famous person. That's nice. That's really nice if they get to do that. Yeah. And have some happiness at others' good fortune. Okay. Of course, this is a free world, and we're always free to sit in the corner and suck our thumb. Which most of us do when we feel like we haven't been treated fairly, but nobody's going to make a movie out of us doing that. Yeah, my parents made they have the home movie of me throwing a temper tantrum, but they don't have the home movie of me sitting in the corner sucking my thumb thinking the world's unfair. So I don't know which would be more embarrassing.